Have you ever wondered how some people can sew really fast when it takes you forever to finish a simple project and you just can't figure out how they do it? The answer is simpler than you think. Today I'm sharing the secret to faster sewing and I'm giving you the specific details of how I do it. So keep watching. Hi, I'm Tony and this is Sew Lounge. When I started sewing, it took me forever to get anything done. I mean, hours for a single garment that just shouldn't be that complicated. And it really wasn't until last year that I figured out how to sew more garments in less time. And the secret is organization. Yes, it's really that simple. The most and the fastest sewing I have ever done in my life was in July of 2022. I challenged myself to make 6 garments in 23 days, and at the time, I really didn't know if I could do it. Well, it turns out I could, and I did, but I had to develop a system to make it all work and to stay organized in the process. My system of organization is not complicated at all, and it pretty much works regardless of the number of makes that I want to sew. In July of last year, it was 6. This month, it's only 4, and it'll work just as well for 2. So it just depends on what you're in the mood to sew and how fast you want to get it done. First things first, once I decide on the patterns, I cut them all out, all at the same time. Now, I used to cut things out with a pair of scissors and I'd sit on the couch and, enjoy a program while doing all my cutting. But I got a tip from a viewer who said that she cut all of her patterns with a rotary cutter and it was so much faster. And let me tell you, once I adopted that process, it really saves a lot of time. So I have a special blade for my rotary cutter that is just for paper, which I use to cut out all of my patterns, and then I will switch it out for a fabric blade once I move on to that step. The next step is fabric prep and getting my fabric washed, dried, ironed, and on grain so that I am ready to lay out my pattern pieces and start the cutting process. Now, this is the part of sewing that I really like the very least. I don't know what it is. I just having to lay out all these pattern pieces, get them all on grain, get everything cut out. It's just tedious for me. So that's why I do it all at the same time. I will suffer through it for a couple of days to get everything cut. Then I go and mark all the pattern pieces for all of my makes at the same time because I find that's a lot easier than marking and cutting. And that way I can make sure that all the marks are on the right sides of the fabric. Once all of my pattern pieces are cut out and marked, I put them into these large bins. These are just some metal baskets I got when my Joann's was closing. And I organize them with the fabric on all the pattern pieces, my pattern and instructions, and any notions I need. And that way I'm ready to start sewing. I have each project in its own bin. You can use whatever you like. And then when I sit down and sew, it's just right there. I can just pick up all the pieces, pull out my instructions, and get going. Now you know the secret to faster sewing. Staying organized is the key. And this is most comparable to batch tasking, which is the idea of doing a group of tasks that are all related in a block of time so that you can get more accomplished. I do the boring parts first. I cut my patterns, then I cut out all the fabric, then I transfer all the marks. That way, when I'm ready to sit down and sew, I can actually sew without having to stop and start and get up from my sewing machine because I forgot to mark something or I forgot to press in the interfacing. If you've enjoyed this video, you are going to love this one coming up next. It's my July makes, and I'm going to tell you all about how I use this system to get my clothes finished and how they all turned out. So keep watching.